Hello, ninth graders. For our unit on Shakespeare today, we're going to be continuing to discuss Romeo and Juliet. And you are so lucky today in that you get both of us teachers, Mrs. Belton and Mrs. Dame, today as your teachers. This is Mrs. Belton speaking, will be going over the curriculum standards and the lesson plan, and Mrs. Dame will guide you through today's lesson. The first thing that we want to talk about here is the standards that go along with our lesson. Our target standard is going to be to analyze how complex characters, those with multiple or conflicting motivations, develop over the course of a text, interact with other characters, and advance the plot or develop the theme. And our supporting standard is going to be to write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, well-chosen details, and well-structured event sequences. Learning outcomes for our assignment today that we want students to be able to understand that life situations transcend all generations and for them to empathize with the relationship between Romeo and Juliet using the play. And we will be able to do this by observing their interactions in small groups and in the class as a whole, and in a writing activity toward the end of the lesson. For differentiation, we have a couple of different products. We'll use, like I say, small groups for students who may not want to read the text in class. For those who do want to read the text, they're welcome to read aloud. We'll offer an audio-visual version of the play, maybe for our ELL, English language learners, in the class as well.
All right, class, Mrs. Dame here. One of the first things we're going to talk about, Romeo and Juliet, is a love story, obviously. And so we're going to take a look at what is love. I mean, we all have an idea of what we think love is, but here we really want to look at it on a deeper, higher level of thinking process. We want to talk about, here's some ideas. You kind of love your pet. You might love your video games. What does a boyfriend, girlfriend love? And, your best friend. Everybody loves their best friend. So those are a couple of things to think about, different types of love and different scenarios for situations that involve love. And one of the ways that we are going to associate with the characters in this book, we're going to take a look at their actions. How do they react to certain situations? How do they associate with others? How do we associate with others? How do they associate with others? What do they do when people make, mistakes or pass judgment, or, what do they do? And how is their communication style? What do they do to communicate with other people? Are they verbal? Do they have nonverbal cues for people? What are some things that they do to communicate with one another? Those are things I want you guys to make sure you're paying attention to and looking at as we go through this. We would like you then, towards the end, to pick a character who you've associated with, either Romeo or Juliet. It doesn't matter, your choice. After some small group discussion, we'll talk about Romeo and Juliet, let you guys kind of come up with your own ideas, why you liked them, why you didn't like them, what connected for you. And then you choose Romeo or Juliet, and we'll write a one-page love letter to the other one, justifying their decisions to get married. They're going to disregard family pressure. They're going to disregard societal pressure. So what was their justification? Why would they decide to get married? Those are some things we want you guys thinking about as we're going through this play. Take into consideration their actions and their feelings. Then at the end, after we've done all of that, for those of you, another active differentiation, I guess, would be for the higher level learners. If they choose, or if any other student so chooses, feels compelled, they can write a letter to the families this time, keep that in mind, the families, parents, explaining their justification and why they did that as well, what brought them to this decision that they should get married, even though everyone was against it. So some things to think about as we go forward here. I'm really looking forward to Shakespeare with you guys. Thanks a lot.